So, a little bit of politics today, ladies and gentlemen. UK politics. Keir Starmer, UK Labour government leader, Prime Minister. Keir Starmer. Sorry, I mean Keir Starlin. Or two-tier Keir, three-gear Keir. Keir Starmer, the granny harmer. I mean, there's many things. Many names that he's got. He announced that NHS England is going to be scrapped. Completely scrapped, which I think took a lot of people by surprise. This is major news, but I think that this is also a bit of a smokescreen. So I think we'll take a look at this and dive into it, shall we? So Keir Starmer announces major Whitehall reforms in speech. As it happened, this is just the Times. But he doesn't announce the Whitehall reforms where it's needed. Right? Where it's actually needed. And it is interesting, I often think to myself, what do these elected officials actually do? What are they actually doing? Right? You've got the Justice Secretary Mahmood, or whatever a bloody name is, delegating roles to delegation of responsibilities to the Sentencing Council. I mean, that's just nonsense. Like, what are you actually being paid to do? You're being paid obscene sums of money, nearly £100,000 per year. What are you doing aside from just ticking, yes, we can do that someone else brings something to you? What are you actually doing? Right? I often think to myself that these politicians don't do anything. And I'm probably right. I probably am correct. And is this just another of that? Maybe. With Whitehall, the UK civil service, the state, the size of the state is actually absurd. It's actually absurd. It's like 500,000 or something like that. Like, it's genuinely obscene, the amount of people that the state employs. And you can't get growth through that, right? We need to downsize our state. The state is way too big. Way too big. It's too big of an employer for so many people out of employment, not contributing to the taxes. And that's why, one of the reasons why our taxes are so bloody high. Because civil servants got a massive pay rise recently. So basically, it says that the government is scrapping NHS England to cut bureaucracy. And that's what he said today, this morning in a speech. Now, that's not the NHS. And I'll cop some flack for this, but I do think the NHS needs to be completely torn apart, and then rebuilt. Right? It needs to be rebuilt. It's absurd. The whole thing is absurd. It's one of the biggest employers in the entire world. Okay, when you go through and you figure out the amount of wastage, the amount of money and wastage that is sort of just taken up by the NHS, it's just a massive noose around the UK taxpayer's neck. No amount of funding will ever actually be enough for it. And, I mean, look, it was good like 20 years ago when you can actually access it and use it. I can't access the NHS now. Like, it's nigh on impossible. I'm doing a master's degree, and I was very sick. Really sick. Food poisoning, gastroenteritis, all that good stuff. And part of their policy was, the uni, was, hey, yeah, you can miss this exam that you need to do, but you have to get a doctor's note within 5 days. Who can see a doctor within 5 days unless you pay for it? No one. Used to be able to. You actually used to be able to. Yeah, now it's a struggle to see a doctor in 2 weeks. It's ridiculous. So the NHS was good at a time when you could access it, but you can't access it anymore. And then at that point, why am I paying for it? I'm paying for people to turn up and use it? Well, sorry, I didn't sign up for that. Sorry, don't think that's why the NHS was invented. Just to pay for absolutely everything for everyone, no matter where you come from, you can just access it. No, that's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. So we'll just scroll through some of this, because again, this is like, a lot of stuff here, but it is interesting. So, basically, we'll scroll through. There's quite a lot that's happened here. Again, scrolling through. A seismic shift in the NHS has just been announced. So, there's a very old joke about the Irish yokel giving directions to a tourist, but I think I wouldn't start from here. It's so old, I hesitate to use it, except that it also happens to be the best possible description of how you'd reform the NHS. So, yeah, anyway, basically, he's decided Keir Starmer has said, there's no return to austerity. I ran a public service during years of austerity and I saw what was done. Part of problems we got with our public services is what was done a decade or so ago. He also spoke of the need to reform welfare and added, we must support those who need support, not random third worlders though. Obviously, that's absurd. I didn't sign up to pay for some random twat from the third world just taking my money. That's nonsense. But we also must support those who want to get back into work to get back into work, and at the moment the system doesn't do that. A welfare system that doesn't help people get into work because you take the risk of coming off benefits and into work, you end up worse than you started, so people don't take that journey. Now that's true, I agree with that. This is part of a larger speech that he gave. The amount of the benefits bill is absurd, but again, you're going to be moving a bunch of illegal immigrants onto that soon, so that's ridiculous. You're just rubber stamping approvals and they'll move straight into the benefit system. Great. I also think you should actually work for your benefits, right? Local councils need people to go and litter pick. We keep importing third worlders and we are becoming the third world. It's a shithole now. London, Birmingham, Manchester, major cities are disgusting. All these people that have just come in, they should be forced to litter pick. And if they don't want to litter pick for their money, they can fuck off. It's as simple as that. It's actually a really, really good way to incentivize people into work. One, because it's not really a great job. But two, if you work for your benefits, you actually have something to show for it. Now, obviously, I'm not saying people that are disabled or have ongoing health issues. Of course not. That's not what I'm saying at all. But people that are just like out of employment and just waiting to be employed. Yeah, you should work for your money. 100% you should work. It gives you a sense of purpose, gives you a sense of community as well, actually. There are many, many, many reasons why that's a good idea. And if you're arguing down below, you're probably one of these wankers that are taking my tax. So it says this, we can't justify such complex bureaucracy. In a press release announcing the change, the Department of Health said that Sir James Mackey, the CEO of NHS Improvement, will see the transition. It said that work would begin immediately to return many of NHS England's current functions to the department and remove unnecessary admin. Wes Street and the Health Secretary said, this is the final nail in the coffin of the disastrous 2012 reorganisation which led to the longest waiting times, lowest patient satisfaction and most expensive NHS in history. Where money is so tight, we can't justify such a complex bureaucracy with two organisations doing the same job. We need more doers and fewer checkers, which is why I'm devolving the resources and responsibilities to the NHS frontline. It's just absurd. But basically, NHS England is being abolished. So NHS England to be scrapped. The government is to abolish NHS England in an effort to cut bureaucracy. Keir Starmer said that the change would shift money to the front line and remove layers of bureaucracy. There's never going to be enough money. I'm bringing management of the NHS back into democratic control by abolishing the arm's-length NHS England that will put the NHS back at the heart of government where it belongs, freeing it to focus on patients and NHS refocused on cutting waiting times at your hospitals. Now, this is good. This is good. This is a good thing to do. This is absolutely a good thing to do. Like, he needs to... There are way too many quangos, unelected quangos, just utter nonsense around that it just shouldn't be there. We should not have any of these things. It's just nonsense. Like, there's so many stuff that we shouldn't have. Now, it says this, a seismic shift in the NHS has just been announced. And this is just to sort of cover that. It says, for the past decade, one of those reorganisations has been particularly significant. The Health and Social Care Act, the disastrous fruit of Andrew Lansley's plan for reform, resulted in a system whereby the NHS in England was run by a giant quango, NHS England, which in turn took direction from the Department of Health and Social Care. So it was just one sort of company, one office working for another office doing the same bloody thing. It's just ridiculous. Now, this is hilarious. So, as it says here, right, Sir Keir Starmer announced that he will abolish NHS England, signals the final nail in the coffin for a decade-long experiment to provide operational independence to the health service. NHS England, now the world's largest quango, with 13,000 staff, was set up in 2012 as part of a top-down reorganisation introduced by Andrew Lansley, the former Conservative Health Secretary. The aim was to take the NHS out of politics by placing responsibility for its day-to-day running and spending in the hands of an independent arm's-length body. In reality, it created a tangled bureaucracy and two overlapping and uncoordinated fiefdoms, with many jobs duplicated between NHS England and the Department of Health. I mean, it's just nonsense. The Labour government has been clear it wants to bring the NHS firmly back into politics, believing the health service and its £180 billion annual budget must be under the direct control of ministers to tackle the waiting lists of 7 million patients. I mean, the budget for NHS staff and admin alone is £2 billion. Fuck off. This is ridiculous. Like, it's actually ridiculous. Abolishing the biggest quango in the world. The government is abolishing the biggest quango in the world by scrapping NHS England, the Health Secretary has said. And it needs to be abolished. But that's not enough. That's actually not enough. Right? It's not enough. More stuff needs to go. More quangos need to go. Staff numbers to be slashed. Wes Streeton told the Commons that NHS England had 15,300 staff. And his department had 3,300 staff. And he was looking to reduce the headcount across both by 50%. Good. But that, again, that's not enough. More need to go. More need to go. The state needs to be downsized. I actually think this is a good thing. But I tell you what, Labour voters are going to hate this. And Labour is probably going to have a revolt on this as well. Massively. And you can see it here, you know. There's other people. Lib Dems, they welcome the change. I'll tell you what, though. Labour won't. Labour will revolt on this. Will there be more job cuts? Yeah, probably, and there should be. So there's legislation needed to abolish NHS England, which just goes to show that Parliament isn't sovereign anymore. It's, again, just absurd. Like, what are they getting paid for? Parliament isn't sovereign. What am I paying you for then? You should just be able to do this. It's just ridiculous. The Conservatives are just like... Jeremy Hunt, the longest-serving health secretary in history, has praised the boldness of proposals to scrap NHS England. You're a Conservative. Why didn't you do it then, you fucking cunt? Again, welfare reforms. This is a good thing, but this is huge. NHS England news, left staff reeling. Good. And then people are like, oh, a cut is not reform. Can be. So there you go. Keir Starmer's latest development. Now, this is a win. Not going to be a win politically, though. Is it, really? Bit of a weird one for him. This is a good thing, though. But doesn't go far enough. And also, you've sort of given with one hand and taken with the other. You approved like a £9 billion across-the-board pay rise, right? But then you're taking. So all you're doing is balancing. So he's not actually doing that much. But anyway, whatever. Thought you'd like to know. This is interesting stuff. If you're from the UK, you will find this interesting. Cheers, guys. Take care. Bye-bye now.